welcome back to my channel. So today we are in a very different setting than usual, obviously. This is my very purple bedroom. I think you've been in here before for a different video before. We're filming in here because today's Mother's Day and my mom is currently downstairs on the couch right now watching a David Attenborough narrated nature documentary. And honestly, who am I to stop her from doing so? So we are filming in here today. I have my ducky on my lap and I am very much ready to go. Today's video is one that has been requested for ages, and to be honest, it's actually been one of the hardest to put together just because I had a really hard time selecting these products because it's like a question that you don't even want to think about. But today's video is going to be, if my entire makeup collection was destroyed, what would I repurchase first? Not a question I like to think about, honestly, but I think it's a really interesting question to ask yourself, and it kind of forces you to just like look at your collection and really evaluate what does the most for me. So this video is not necessarily going to be like my favorite product in every single category, because that's not necessarily what I would repurchase first. More so, these products are going to be along the lines of things that I feel fill multiple niches in my collection and that I feel like I could get a lot of money's worth out of if I bought them first and rebuilt my entire collection with these products. Plus, it was really important to me that my new capsule collection fit into an entire small caddy. So this video doesn't include skincare because that would be another like maybe 10 products on top of all these. So this is just makeup, and it doesn't include tools either. If my entire brush collection was obliterated, I would probably go for the ColourPop Bare Necessities brush set. But this video, I just wanted to focus on the makeup products I would purchase first. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This was a very fun video to think about and to make. And if you want to see what's in here, keep watching. Alright, I'm going to go through this collection basically in the order of things I would apply to my face. So we're starting off with primer, and I didn't select a primer for this video. Especially over the past couple months, I've kind of weaned myself off of using primer on a daily basis. I've kind of come to realize that for me, and that's very much on a for me basis, primer is not an essential step. It's something I enjoy having, but this video especially, I want to focus on things that I feel like I need to have and then adding on the luxuries later on. And all the primers I was thinking about to add to this video were hydrating primers, which I feel like with a good skincare routine, I can pretty much get the benefits of a hydrating primer without actually needing to go in with an additional step. So in this alternate universe where I'm assuming I have skincare products and I can apply like a moisturizer, I don't think I really need a primer, and I more so rely on like setting spray and sometimes powder later on in the routine to really lock my face in place, and I don't need primer for that. So if I lost my entire collection, primer would not be on the top of my list to get. However, I do need a foundation, and this one was actually very easy to select, the Anastasia Beverly Hills Luminous Foundation. And I know I said that this video wasn't going to be like my favorite product in each category, but this is my favorite foundation in my collection. The reason I selected this is just because it's my favorite to wear, and honestly I feel like it can work in every context. This is obviously a nice luminous dewy foundation, so that's like my ideal skin finish on a daily basis, but I feel like it's also a dewy foundation without looking like wet on the skin, and it's able to like dry down and be a nice thin texture. So I feel like if I wanted to kind of maybe mattify this one, I definitely could with this foundation. I feel like this one really plays with whatever you put on top of it to just change and finish. Also, I have a perfect shade match in this foundation, so I wouldn't need to buy like additional shade adjuster drops on top of it. So the ABH Luminous Foundation definitely earns its spot in my new capsule collection, just because I feel like it is my go-to foundation for literally any type of situation, whether I know I'm going to be photographed or I just want to go to class. This does everything for me. And then for concealer, I decided to go with the Too Faced Born This Way. I was kind of between this and the Cover FX Power Play, but I went for this ultimately because it has like a lot more product in here. A big focus of this capsule collection is just getting a lot of use out of that product, whether that's being able to get a bunch of different looks or just being able to get a lot for your money's worth. And for me, this concealer is the ultimate example of that. This is half an ounce for I think $28. I've had this same tube of concealer and been using it for a long ass time, and I'm nowhere near done with it. So I feel like, especially because I would only have one foundation and one concealer, and I would be presumably using this every time I did makeup, this would take me a long time to get through, and also I just love how this one looks on my skin. So this is my concealer pick, and thankfully these two play really well together. Generally, I feel like the Born This Way concealer plays really well with most foundations, but these two in particular look amazing together. When it came to powder, I had a hard time with this, honestly, because I was pretty dead set on not picking a powder. I was like, I don't need powder in my collection. I don't set my face down every day, obviously, because I have dry skin, and I just like the way my skin looks unset. The only thing I really use powder for is setting my under eyes, and then on days when I really want to like lock in my makeup, then I will set all over my face. So I was like, should I include a powder? Should I not? And then I ultimately decided, yes, you do need a powder. So My pH is 14. I picked the cult favorite Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder because I just feel like this one does everything for me. So I like this one for the under eyes. I feel like this does a really nice job of giving a very like smooth appearance to the under eyes and really does lock everything in place. However, I also really like this one on the face as well. It does tend to mattify down foundations, which is not my ideal finish, but I do feel like it's a thin enough powder that you can restore that dewiness with a nice like luminous dewy setting spray on top. Also, I selected this one because of the amount of product you get. So you're getting a full ounce of powder for $38, which is pretty expensive, but I feel like that's a lot of product and I really don't use a ton of powder each time I go in. I'm not somebody who bakes. I just set my under eyes with a very light dusting of powder and I'm done. So again, I feel like I'd be able to get a lot of money's worth out of this single powder here. This next product is probably like my smartest addition to the collection because I was able to kind of fuse my bronzer and my contouring category into one bronzer. And you might be surprised to see this because I don't talk about this as like my favorite bronzer, but I do feel like it is my most versatile bronzer in my collection. And that is the Milani Silky Matte Bronzer in 01 Sunlight. I'm wearing it on my cheeks right now as my bronzer, but this was the bronzer that I took up with me in my initial move up to UCLA. So for a couple months last year, this was the only bronzer I was using on a daily basis. And I picked this one because it is literally the perfect tone. It is kind of a more cool tone bronzer, so I feel like I can do a nice soft contour that doesn't look like I did contour with bronzer. And this looks really beautiful on the cheekbones, but it's the only bronzer I've ever tried in my collection that I can do nose contour with that doesn't look stupid. Honestly, nose contour is very limited in what it can do. Like, nose contour is not gonna hide the fact that I have a very fat, wide nose, because like you can't really restructure the cartilage in your face using a powder, but I do feel like this is my perfect all-in-one bronzer for doing contouring and bronzing in one, and it's just like a one-stop shop. I could just use this one cheek product and not have to go in with a bunch of different steps, which I really appreciate. Plus this pan is like really deep, so for $10 I feel like you're getting a lot of product in here, and I really like this one. Blush is pretty much the only category in this video that I selected multiples for. And I was kind of torn because I was like, should I not? But one of them is $3, so I'm allowing myself. First, I would go for a Glossier Cloud Paint, particularly one in a more colorful shade. You guys know I love my Dusk shade, which is like a very basic beige, but I would go for one of the darker slash like more colorful pigmented shades because I feel like I could use like one tiny dot and get a nice natural flush, or I could build it up. And that versatility I feel like is more common with these darker shades rather than something that you really can only get a very one-dimensional look out of. So I picked the color Storm. This is like one of my favorite cloud paints in my collection. So I picked the color Storm, probably my favorite cloud paint in the collection. These are great. I feel like, again, because you need such a small amount and these are really quite pigmented, a little goes a very long way. So I would have this tube for a very long time, and for $18 for a blush, I feel like that's awesome. So this blush is like one of my favorite things to recommend to anybody starting out their makeup collection because you don't need to spend a ton of money to get a product that has a lot of life in it. Plus, it would not be a Julia collection without a single Glossier product, so we had to. Oh my god. Hey baby girl. Have you tried Glossier? And then on top of that, I wanted to include a powder selection as well, so I am adding in the Essence Satin Touch blush. I don't know, I needed a good, neutral, basic powder blush in my collection, and the Satin Touch blush is my favorite formula blush, period. Like, high-end, drugstore, whatever, regardless, this is my favorite blush. And I wanted to keep the cost of this entire little capsule collection under about like $2.50. All the makeup in my collection, I didn't all buy it at once. It was accumulated and bought over time, like in small increments. Like, I generally don't spend more than $50 at Sephora in any single go. I treat myself, but like within my means. So that's why I don't ever do like huge $1,000 hauls on Sephora, because I never do that. So assuming that my entire collection disappeared, I wouldn't want to spend any more than like $250, especially because makeup is not essential. So that is basically my long-winded way of saying that affordability was also a focus in this little capsule collection, whatever. Alright, and then to round out the cheek product collection, I also had to finish off with a highlighter. Obviously, I wanted to go for a very neutral color just so it could work with any type of eye look I wanted to do, or just like any occasion. So no crazy Kaleido Space Age highlighters, even though I would definitely love to repurchase those. No fancy golds, no fancy like pinks or anything. I wanted to just go for a straight up pearly shade. So the one I picked was the ColourPop Super Shock highlighter in the shade You're a Catch. Obviously huge, so you're getting a lot of money's worth out of this. It's a $12 highlighter in a gigantic pan. Another reason I selected this was because it has a mirror in it, and I feel like just having a good large mirror in my collection somewhere is awesome, and I love using this one to do like get ready with me's or anything, assuming that I still had a channel if my entire makeup collection disappeared.
Child. Anyway, so
this is the highlighter I'm currently wearing on my cheeks right now. I think this is beautiful, not only on like camera, but also in natural lighting as well. Because it's a kind of cream to powder highlighter, this one can apply like a powder, so it's really easy to put on. But I feel like it really does melt into the skin and just look kind of natural, but still beaming. So you can get a really nice subtle glow out of this one, but also a very this. So for me, it was really between this and Flexitarian, which is also a Super Shock highlighter, but this one had the big mirror, obviously, and it's like a big Super Shock, so I went with this one. And yeah, I would say this definitely ranks in my top 5 favorite highlighters right now. But this, I feel like I get the most versatility out of, and it's also really good for travel. Brows was not hard to select at all. I obviously went for the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade because I feel like, again, you just get so much in here. This dip brow I've had for about 2 years. I constantly revive it by dropping a tiny bit of beauty oil in here, and that just revives the texture of this one. Pomade, I feel like, is the best possible brow product if you really want to get a ton of money's worth out of a single product. And then on the flip side, brow pencils I feel like are one of the biggest wastes of your money, especially for me. When I was using Brow Wiz on a daily basis, I would go through a new Brow Wiz like every 1 to 1.5 months, because regardless of whether I'm doing like a full beat or a very like natural makeup type of day, even if I'm not wearing foundation or eyeshadow, I'm usually wearing brows. So not only is Dip Brow really economical, it's also cheaper than the Brow Wiz, which is crazy to me. Brow pomade can go a very, very long way. Also, little hack, you can use this one as a eyeliner if you want to. For eye primer, I would go for the Anastasia Beverly Hills eye primer, but not the one that I'm holding in my hands right now. This is the full size. I would go for the mini size. Number 1, the big one has the worst packaging. I'm not even gonna finish that sentence. The mini size does not have that packaging defect, which is awesome. It's also like not super tiny, so I don't feel like you're getting like a very small amount of product. It's just like a slightly smaller tube, whereas some minis I feel like are like ridiculously shrunken down, like the Milk Makeup minis. What are those? And then the Anastasia eye primer, again, you really do not need a very large amount. More pigmented, heavy-duty eye bases like this, you really need the smallest amount, and that'll cover your entire eyelid. I've seen some people do this video and they say that they just would use their concealer for eye base, but personally for me, I do like having a dedicated eye base in my collection, and this one is the one I would go for. The category you've been waiting for, eyeshadow. Okay, I really wasn't sure how exactly I wanted to approach this category because I got my neutral palettes, I got my colorful palettes, I got so many palettes that I really love that fill different niches and different parts of my heart. But for this challenge, I knew I wanted to select just one single palette. Like, that's the ultimate restraint. And even though this one was hard to select, once I picked it, I was like, you know what? That was the obvious choice all along, and it's the Anastasia Beverly Hills Jackie Aina palette. I'm wearing this on my eyes right now, and I picked this palette because I feel like you can get like anything out of this. Soft neutral looks, you got it. More dramatic neutral looks, you got that. You also have the option to do some colorful looks that are really, really quite classy. So today I played around with the purples in here, but you have some nice greens and you got red, and this palette definitely wins for me in terms of versatility. This is something I feel like I would just not get tired of using constantly, and assuming that I would only have these products in my collection, I would be using this on a daily basis, and I just wouldn't get tired of the different looks I can create with this one. So that's the only palette that I selected, but of course, who would I be without this? ColourPop Ritz Super Shock Shadow for obvious reasons. I don't even need to explain this one, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to stare at the camera for like 10 seconds. Okay, mascara is a step that I don't really care about that much. Obviously, I have my favorite mascaras and stuff, but generally, even if it's a day where I'm not doing a ton of makeup, I usually wear false lashes.
Because I'm very insecure.
So for me, mascara's main function is to make my lashes look black, but of course I wanted to have a good mascara that can really like lengthen my lashes as well and still make them look nice if, and only if, I do choose to not wear lashes. I wouldn't invest a ton in a high-end mascara right off the bat, obviously. I was expecting that I would pick Essence Lash Princess, but I actually decided on the AOA Studio Fat Lash Mascara. This be $1, and I think it's actually really beautiful on the lashes. This is the only like spiky bristle brush mascara I've ever liked. I generally like the kind of fluffier brushes of mascara. I feel like that really gives me a lot of volume. This one I would say is more so aimed at like blackening and length, but it doesn't flake on me. I would also like a mascara that gives me enough length that I feel like I can wear just my normal lashes and still have like nice long lashes, and not necessarily have to wear the like more dramatic lashes that I have in this video. So this was my mascara pick. They do have a bottom lash mascara as well. We are on a budget here. I was not going to spend an extra $1 on a bottom lash mascara. Alright, so eyelashes. Lash glue was an easy choice. I picked the AOA Studio A+ Super Lash Adhesive. This is $1.88 and it's just like a straight up very good lash glue. It reminds me a lot actually of the House of Lashes lash glue, which is what I used for a very long time. It's a very sticky lash glue, which is good for like keeping your lashes on, but it also leaves residue in both your normal lashes and your fake eyelashes. So for me, this is the still long wearing but slightly less sticky alternative, and it's a lot more affordable. And then the lashes I picked are again from AOA Studio. These are the Jackie lashes. These are almost a perfect dupe of the House of Lashes iconic lashes. Because they're fluffy, they're voluminous, they can look dramatic if you want them to, but they can also look really nice with a very neutral and very classic basic eye look. So they're lashes that are long and fluffy and voluminous, but not too aggressively long where they look stupid. And they are currently my favorite lash style, so these were an obvious pick for me, and I think these are $1.50 each. Lips was difficult for me, not in terms of color. I knew what I would choose, nudes, but because I like having options. That's why I keep re-downloading Hinge. So to start off, I picked two ColourPop lippy pencils, and these are great because I feel like I can wear them all over the lips as a lipstick as well as a lip liner. So we have BFF and BFF2. The BFF line from ColourPop are basically a range of nude lip liners that work with different skin tones. So the lightest one is BFF, and then BFF2 is like slightly more on the rosy tone nude side, but the versatility and the options with these are incredible, and I couldn't not have these in my collection. So these are definitely an essential. And then for my one and only like color lip product, you might be shocked by this one, and I honestly kind of was too, but I do feel like I can just get a lot of different things out of this. So this is a ColourPop Just a Tint lip crayon in the shade Feel Good, and it's basically, no surprise, like a neutral rosy toned pink nude shade. I was a little bit shocked that this is what I gravitated towards most, just because it's a very obviously like kind of sheer natural lip product. This is like super comfortable, first of all, so I don't feel like I have to wear anything on top of this one or underneath it to get it to feel nice on my lips all day. I love reaching for this one, and then again, I felt like it really paired well with everything I could create with the Jackie Aina palette in terms of eyes. And then of course, my one and only lip gloss I had to pick was the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb. I picked the shade Fenty Glow. I was between this one and Fussy, but I felt like because I already had the Just a Tint, and this is kind of more of a pink tone shade, Fenty Glow is a bit more on the brownish toned but still kind of pink side. I really like how this one looks alone on my lips. It's again one of my go-to lip products for when I don't really know what color I want to wear with my eye look, and I just feel like this matches with almost anything, so this was a clear choice. And then the last product in my collection had to be a setting spray. Again, if I am setting down my face with the Laura Mercier powder, I want to be able to kind of restore that dewiness to my foundation afterwards. So I wanted to pick a dewy setting spray, and I also want to go affordable, so I picked the Catrice Prime and Fine Dewy Glow Fixing Spray. The formula itself has a tiny bit of shimmer running through it, but it doesn't look glittery on the face, which is like everything I hate. Also, this is a very nice fine mist. I really do not like aggressive mists, and that's very hard to find from the drugstore. So this definitely got the setting spray vote. With that, that is my entire little capsule makeup collection of everything I would repurchase first if my entire makeup collection disappeared. And it really just helped me really appreciate these products and really reignite my love for the makeup in my collection, because I'm very glad that it hasn't disappeared yet. Sometimes I feel like it's just a dream and I'm gonna wake up and have like the Modern Renaissance palette and it's gonna be 2016 again. Anyways, let me know if you guys were shocked by any of my selections, but I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and go watch the TikTok I just made with this makeup look on. It was transcendent. And if you made it to the very end of this video, you get the bonus meme. I'm gonna go hang out with my mom now. Bye.
I slowly started to be seduced by him, like he started to seduce me.